So we are doing this today, a little how-to on drawing trees. Some sensible trees, some silly trees. But fundamentally what we're going to be doing, three little steps, three simple steps, a couple of bonus tips as well, on how to just add simple trees into your sketches, which have a bit of shape and character, but don't stress you out, and can take just a handful of seconds or a couple of minutes to add. Hello everyone, it is Toby from Toby's Urbansketch, and today we're doing a little tips and tricks video on trees. And we're going to be going three little easy tips, three stages to draw our trees. On one side we're going to do some sensible colours, on the other side I'm going to show you that the colours don't really matter. It's all about shape and shadow. So what are our three stages? Well, stage one, using our pen, is we're getting the shape of the tree. So there are lots of shapes of trees, but instead of trying to draw every leaf, just break it down into those big shapes. So you might have a sort of evergreen, and it could be as simple as that. You might break it down a little more and give it little wiggly branches. But we're just looking at those big shapes. Perhaps a sort of weeping willow might have these big looping shapes which are sort of pulling down. And we can just play with that idea. We can do all sorts of shapes. It doesn't have to be a specific type of tree. You can often find within trees they've got lumps of leaves in front and behind, and we're just trying to pull those kind of shapes and things out. You can also do it with a sort of bare tree, lots of sort of pokey branches and things. Just relax and find those sort of big shapes, and then before you know it, you'll have a sort of set of things resembling trees. It can be really loose as well. It can literally be sort of circles, and this is how I often sketch. Or we can just focus on doing a little outline, and there we go. So there is 9 different trees just quickly sketched in. So that's our shape. And what else can we think about with shape? We can think about those extra internal shapes. We can think about these branches, but fundamentally the shape is the outline, and then these little pockets of colour in between. So what comes next? Well, colour. So colours are really simple if we let them be. So we can just try a sort of 2-colour approach here, or even a 1-colour, but what we'll do, we use a sort of light green. So taking a phthalo green, just dulling it down with some Hansa yellow. I'm just using a really big brush, you can see, and we can just get that initial sort of touch of colour in, and we don't have to be super neat. The trees aren't neat objects, are they? We can vary that colour. Perhaps in the next row down we go more phthalo green, so we go bolder punch of green. But it's all this same simple concept. We can even go towards the browns for those autumnal trees, and maybe even a bit of, say, let's do some quinacridone down here. All sort of reasonably realistic colours for trees, and with no fuss at all, they come to life. We can then come in and just start adding in those little variations. So using our colour, so this colour is sort of step 2, but using the colour just to enhance that shape as well. And even punches of light, so using wet on wet we can let these sort of punches of golden light sort of blend in as well. So there we go, that's our stages 1 and 2. I'm just going to let this dry and we'll move on to stage 3. So on to stage 3 now, and that is shadows. So shadows, not just in one place, in a couple of places. And I'm just going to use a simple colour here, so use Moonclow for all our shadows. Obvious place for shadows is underneath the trees. And it's important to remember that, shadows are casting, trees are casting shadows, and as soon as you pop a shadow in, it just grounds them. Suddenly these trees become 3D, you can tell where they're standing. But it's not just underneath the trees that's shadow, there's also shadows in the trees. So perhaps underneath at the bottom of the tree you need to pop in shadows, or where you've got these bunches of leaves, there might be shadows inside. So maybe just popping in a few shadows like this internally. And sometimes there's shadows behind and things, but just by doing that instantly we've enhanced our shape again. We've also given it a more 3D and sort of realistic feel. The sort of obvious bonus step, so step 4, which I didn't highlight at the beginning, is you can always come in, you can just add a little bit more detail if you want to with your pen after, where you can come and sort of go around capturing these extra bits of colour that you've added in and highlighting bits of shadow. It's not necessary to do, but you can if you want. And the other sort of bonus tip would be a few little splashes. Often enhance the sort of, trees are fairly random in how they grow, aren't they? They obviously branch out, but they also have flying leaves and things going about. So just enhancing things with that little burst of colour can be really great. Now, I did promise as well we do some funky colours just to show that really what we're trying to do is colour, not just specific colour. So if we just take this side and we just draw some really simple, we'll make them slightly bigger trees. We can use the sort of 3 methods I've sort of talked about. One's just an outline, another is kind of getting these more detailed branching patterns of leaves and things. And another would just be really loosely applying shapes. And there you go, so we've got 3 sort of loose trees there. Now if I just take my brush, I can decide to use, sorry if you can hear the drilling in the background, that would be my neighbours have decided to do some DIY this morning. But we can use whatever colours we want really, we can fit them in. This might be a cherry blossom or something with these bright colours, but we could equally do it as a blue tree when it's fading off into the distance to have it lose itself in the background. Or we could do, let's just go with an orange tree, why not? Oh, there's plenty of brown on that, isn't it? Too realistic. Anyway, there's a browny orange. But the colours aren't important, it's just following these steps. When they're bigger, you can also splash water in and get some realistic sort of patterns going in there. You could have fun with the colours, you could drop in bits of blue into red and maybe pop some green into a brown and just create these more interesting shapes. The point is, don't be constrained by sticking to normal colours, have a bit of fun, have a little sort of relaxed approach, and it's really easy just to create these sort of fascinating structures really, really quickly. Can always come back in again with more pen, and we can bring out some more of that structure if we want. There we go. So there is my little how-to on drawing trees. So we've got sort of some sensible little trees, we've got some big colourful trees, and it's all about just finding the shape with your pen, adding a little bit of colour, and then finding those important shadows and variations in colour as step 3. I hope that's been a little bit fun, a little bit helpful, just giving you a bit of confidence that actually trees are really easy and you can add them into anything. And so, well, thank you for watching, I guess.